This video is sponsored by Line 6. Hi there, Perfecto Castro here and welcome to my channel. I hope you're having a great day. Okay, one of the funnest videos I put out recently is that of the Line 6 Pod Express. And a bunch of you asked some pretty nice questions in the comments section. So in this video, I'm going to take some of those questions, answer them for you, show you a couple more setups you can do with the Line 6 Pod Express, and we'll take a closer look at the brand new Pod Express Edit. Here we go. Okay, so here's the Pod Express rig that we're working with today. It's actually not my rig. It belongs to my very good friend, Gino, who is an in-demand session guitar player here in Manila. And in fact, I have to return this, this rig tomorrow because he's flying out and he does a lot of fly dates with it. This Pod Express rig is installed on a pedal tray nano and comes with the dual foot switch as recommended in my Pod Express bento box rig. Now let's dive into the first question. So video comments. This is from Thaw03. Are they gonna have an app for this pod? Anyone knows? Well, here it is. So this is the new Pod Express Edit, the editor specifically designed for the Pod Express. It's now available to download from your Line 6 account on line6.com. Okay, so let's take a walk through all the features. Now the layout is simple enough. You can see all the effects blocks. You can select your effects from the drop-down menus for each module. So here's your distortion. You can select none or boost or overdrive or distortion. Click out of that and you will see the different knobs. So let's turn on the distortion block and there it is. You can grab the virtual knob with your mouse and move it around. Now look at the overhead cam for the rig. You can see that the app responds to the pedal assignments or the foot switch assignments. Then the presets are here on the left side. So just double click on the preset name and that will change. Okay, chime, dynamic, crunch, heavy, and all that. Okay, now, if you want to build a new preset, you can go to one of the empty slots, right? And then double click this part and you can type in your new preset name and hit save, and that will be saved onto the pedal. And then from here, tweak all the blocks, and after you're happy with everything, just press save again. Okay, now let's check out the other features in the desktop editor. So you can sign in to your Line 6 account right here, and then this cloud button right here checks the device's firmware. Okay, so you can either update online or you can update from a file. This Pod Express is up to date, so we are good there. And then some options for developers, you know, event logger, presentation console, access to online manuals, and so on and so forth. Then moving on to the upper right of the app, we get into tap tempo if you want to save tap tempo into your preset, or click on this gear icon right here And that will bring out the menu options for the switches. So the top line is for your preset select. You can select between instant or load. So if you go into preset select mode, instant means it changes presets right away, like that. You can see the app moves as well. Or if you select load, then you can sort of prepare, jump to the preset you want to load next, and then hit on the double buttons to load the preset. There you go. Okay, so the next option is for tap tempo. You can select to save it either per preset or as a global tap tempo. Now the next line is dedicated to the external control jack, which you can select either as a volume pedal or the foot switch 3 and 4, which I have set up right here. So this is actually a question asked by Music Man for Chris. Yeah, so he asks, is it possible to have the 2 external switches and still be able to add a volume pedal? Unfortunately, no. It's either, the external foot switches or a volume pedal, not both. Next up is the wheel control, which is the master volume on the side of the Pod Express. And you can choose to have it control all the outputs or just the headphone out only. If you're a gigging musician, set it to headphones only. That way you get full output of the pedal regardless if that, tiny little wheel, it gets jostled somewhat. Next is knob function. That's for tweaking on the Pod Express itself. You can either choose to control amp parameters or effects parameters. Next up is the option for pedal polarity. So play around with this setting in case your volume pedal or your dual switch does not work the way you want it to. Now, the next 4 drop-down menus assign the functions to our foot switches. So we start with on right here. As you can see, it is right now set to bypass FX1, which is my distortion block. And if I go into the drop-down, you can either go bypass all, bypass effects, or bypass FX1, 2, 3, or 4. And then we have the tap assign, which right now is at tap tempo, but you can also assign it to bypass any one of the other effects blocks or all of them at once. And then foot switch 3 is bypass FX2, and you can also set it to like next preset, right? Let's try that. And then FS4, let's assign it to previous preset. So now, instead of going into preset mode by double tapping the main foot switches, I can, go through the presets using the external foot switch, up and down. Now, this brings me to another question from @Maripido. Can you assign presets to each button? Unfortunately, not. You can only assign the external foot switch to be up and down presets, to scroll through the different presets. You can't assign a specific preset to each button. And that's just the limitation of the Pod Express. What I would do to access all the presets is I would just assign the external switches to, bypass specific effects blocks, and then go into preset mode using the 2 main switches. And with the load option in preset select, I can just go to the preset that I want and, press both buttons to load the preset when I need it. So there. Now the final drop-down menu is for the USB trim. This controls the output of the USB-C OTG. So you can adjust the USB trim in sets of 3s, either adding +3 or +6 dB, or attenuating it -3, -6, -9, or -12. Okay, next question. Does the AB switch come with it? No. So the dual foot switch that I featured in my previous Pod Express video has a link to Amazon, and that will be in the video description somewhere. And if you want to go with a nicer auxiliary switch, you can get the new aux standard from Barn 3. Let me show you this. So it comes with the TRS cable to connect it to your Pod Express, and this handsome little switch right here. So I think this is the premium option. However, any dual switch that are non-latching will do the trick. Now finally, with the editor and my overhead cam right here, let me show you how you can use the Line 6 Pod Express with a real amp. This is my friend's Cornford Harlequin. It can act as a nice pedal platform with all the effects going into the front of the amp, but it also has an effects return so that I can use the amp models on the Line 6 Pod Express, disable the cab sims, and use the power amp section of this Harlequin. Okay, so let me show you the setup. This is my preset for the front of amp setup. So I still have my gate, I still have my distortion, which I have set to a fuzz. I have my modulation, and you can see that the amp and the cab are set to none because we don't need amp modeling because we're going through a real amp. And then we have a tape delay and a spring reverb. And this is how that sounds. Okay, so let's turn off all the effects and leave the spring reverb on. So basically, I'm treating the Line 6 Pod Express as a 5-pedal pedal board that is much smaller and much more compact. So I have a gate, I have a distortion, I have a modulation, and then I have a delay, and I have a reverb. And then out of those 5 blocks, I can control 3. The distortion, the modulation, and the delay. Plus, I have another extra switch left over for tap tempo. If I didn't need tap tempo, I can assign that switch to control, say, the spring reverb. Okay, so this is basically just one rig. If I needed a different rig with a different modulation, different delay type, or different distortion, I can save another preset and access that with the preset functions using the dual main foot switches. So, clean sound, fuzz, flanger, delay, tap tempo, sure. Lipat tayo, Poy.
Yes.
Now here's another setup for the Line 6 Pod Express with the real guitar amp going into the effects return. And this allows you to use the different amp models on the Line 6 Pod Express as your preamps. And you're gonna use the guitar amp as your power amp and, actual cap. Okay, so here is my effects return preset. Let's take a look at the blocks, and you can see that I still have the effects. I now have my amp block on, but with the cab block disengaged. And this is how that sounds. Now, let me show you how it sounds like with a cabinet. Let's do the 2x12. So as you can hear, it's boxier sounding and with not much high end. It's almost like, you know, everything's like compressed and squished. Compared with none. So like I said, we are already going through a real cab and a real speaker, so we don't need any of the virtual stuff. Then from here, you know, you can build your other presets using the other amp models. Let's go with a crunchy tone. And again, turn off the cab. Okay, so the Line 6 Pod Express Edit app opens up all the possibilities for tweaking the Line 6 Pod Express pedal. As mentioned, the layout is very easy to navigate, easy to understand, and it pretty much offers all the functions that you need to access to craft pretty good guitar tones on the Pod Express. The only thing that I do find somewhat annoying is how the knobs jump when, you know, using it with a trackpad. Like, see that? It's hard to fine-tune it, especially in some of the effects parameters like this. It jumps. See that? From quarter note and then little tap of my finger and it automatically goes to like 64th triplet. So yeah, it takes a little getting used to. Yeah, I wish you could just double click on, you know, the number and just type in what you want. Maybe in a future version that will be available. However, with this app, now you also have the ability to import and export presets. So let's say you've tweaked your preset to your liking, you know, just click export, save it onto your computer for future reference, or to save it as a, you know, maybe for a playlist for a gig. And then later on, you can recall it with the import function and save it to whatever preset slot you want. Well, there you have it. I hope I answered your top questions about the Line 6 Pod Express and the new Line 6 Pod Express editor. Once again, big thanks to Line 6 for sponsoring this video and for being such a great friend and supporter of my channel. I will have all the links to the Pod Express, to the Line 6 website, both affiliate or otherwise, in the video description. So please drop by, check them out, use them to go shopping, and help us keep making these videos for everybody to enjoy. Okay, YouTube thinks you're gonna like this next video, so click on it to watch, then go grab your guitar and play something. You all know the drill. Practice makes perfecto. Cheers, guys.